Now that everyone is fed and has discovered their new favorite cheesesteak place, show of hands if you ordered it with whiz for lunch. And the rest of you did it wrong. Great. We're here today to talk about the evolution of Rails within rubygems.org. So joining me on this stage is a man who is going to crush it today, Nick Quaranto, who is the original author of gemcutter.org and the site now known as rubygems.org, and the director of platform engineering at Wistia. And if you have any questions about sailing, I advise you to ask Nick about them.
Okay, with me is Sam Giddins. He is the maintainer and security lead for Bundler, RubyGems, and rubygems.org. He is working with Ruby Central to make all of that happen. And you could probably ask him about Balatro, and he'll give you a lot of good tips. He's my coach, quite honestly. We thought it'd be really helpful to go through and talk, like, what does rubygems.org do if you're newer to the community, and to kind of set the stage for everyone. So what does it do? We really feel like this is the beating heart of Ruby and Rails. It's the central place where people get their Ruby code to run. And it does a bunch of little things that we feel are important too. The big one is it hosts every public-facing gem you've ever downloaded with bundle install. Today it's over 185,000 different packages, and we feel that's really incredible. We handle 10 billion downloads per month. That's an imaginable amount of time spent staring at your terminal and taking coffee breaks, hopefully, while you're waiting for your bundle and gem installs to run. We provide the API that makes gem push work. So when you want to release a gem and package it up, you send it off to us. And that simple REST API powers the Ruby gem ecosystem. And yes, of course, it's easier than explaining your dependencies to your manager. We keep your gems secure. I think this is a thing that we're going to cover even more of today. Thinking about who has access to push to a gem. We scan gems. When you run bundle update, we make sure that that works. And this is truly a huge piece of the RubyGems project today. And of course, it's the central source of truth. If it's not in RubyGems, like, where is it? And I think the curious piece is that this is not where just the good gems are. We have a lot of bad ones too. And you'll hear about some of that today.
And just like we host bad gems, I also host bad puns, so I don't apologize. So today, what we sort of want you to come away with is a little bit of the story behind rubygems.org. It's in addition to being this important part of everyone's life as a Ruby developer, it's also a 16-year-old Rails app, and it's entirely open source, and that's a pretty cool thing to be able to talk about. Now, I think the big takeaway is we're going to talk about a lot of history. If you can imagine, a lot has changed in the past 15 years. But a lot of the changes that we're going to cover, they're not just about Rails changes or changes in Ruby. They're a lot about how we've changed how we build web apps over that time period. I mean, believe it or not, even how we build Java web apps has changed. So who here has ever been asked the question, well, will Rails be able to this, that, or the other thing? We're all here. I'm going to pose this question to you. Will Rails scale? Will Rails work? Will Rails last? And I want you all to answer together.
Yes.
Oh, come on, some enthusiasm.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, Rails apps can last, they can scale, they can be sustainable. rubygems.org is one of those Rails apps. There are others that we all use on a regular basis as well. Rails apps can last. They can last 15 years. And with Rails, it's really been possible to build enduring software that will stand the test of time, and that's pretty impressive regardless of what language we're talking about. So RubyGems.org today it's a Rails app. Rails 8, Ruby 3.4.4, the latest bundler release, the latest RubyGems release. It's a modern Rails app that's up to date now, but how did we get to this point? I can guarantee you we didn't start running Rails 8. I'm pretty sure it started on Rails 2. Yeah, Rails 2.
It's old.
So along the way, we've learned a lot of things that haven't changed with the app. You know, if you build a good app, like your database is gonna last. Well-factored business logic's gonna last. Good APIs are gonna last. And you know, the frustration of being a human who's like maintaining something and talking with other humans, that's definitely lasted. And along with that, a lot of stuff has changed. We've gone through how many different JavaScript frameworks of the week to build front ends. We've changed how we deploy our apps how many different times. We've changed like what modern web design looks like. I mean, remember when buttons had shadows under them and stuff like that? Yeah, tear. We've changed what, you know, like what fields get returned in APIs, and certainly who's involved has changed over the years. I certainly wasn't involved 15 years ago. We've, you know, changed our test frameworks.
Yeah, so one of the things we wanted to highlight was how the original principles like haven't changed, despite a lot of things that may have flipped around. These are things that I set in motion a while ago, and I think it's really curious to like look back and reflect on that. The first thing was that when I started this project, like we didn't have an API for dealing with gems, and we have a way better one now. It was just scraping a website before, and this has definitely been achieved. This started before GitHub could render Markdown and had READMEs everywhere, so we wanted easy ways to show how to install a gem, and I think that was a big win, along with allowing the community to improve and enhance the site, and here we are, and I think that's like very clear and obvious that we've rallied around this thing, and that's amazing, that all of these have continued to matter, these original principles, for what a package manager should be doing. So let's think about the timeline a little bit. We wanted to do a little bit of history with this and show some fun screenshots over the last 15 years or so. I found this amazing image for what RubyForge started as, which was a clone of SourceForge from back in the day, and this is an image. There we go. That's Rich Kilmer's hand, thumbs upping an amazing piece of hardware. Look at all that RAM. I don't even know what our machines are today. Who knows? They're in AWS somewhere. There it is. You could see it, and that's fun how that's changed over time. Fast forward a few years, GitHub had an amazing design at one point, and they were building RubyGems for a while. The GitHub founders gave a talk, I think at RailsConf 2009, I believe, where they said their biggest mistake and regret was building this very feature we're looking at today. And that's part of what inspired me to like look at figuring out a better gem situation for Ruby. Fast forward a bit, I was learning CSS clearly in 2009. Luckily, some great folks at Thoughtbot, where I was working at the time, helped me with some really sick gradients on this. Look at also RSS. Remember that? That's wonderful. That was a thing for a while. A few more years went by. I was really lucky to work with the folks at Ruby Central to make RubyGems.org the official host, and we applied even more gradients because that was the great thing to do. I think, a thing to note here is the front end piece of this has not changed a lot. So that actually has made these kind of designs pretty easy, since there's just some jQuery sprinkles, and I think they're still there. I'm so sorry. Fast forward even more, and we've got this nice flat design that most people have seen and are using today. And there's even a new one coming for this year. So this is a light and dark mode. It looks very fancy, like it belongs in the modern era. So very excited that we're able to continue evolving what the site looks like and give a better experience to folks. But overall, time is a flat circle. I was so glad to have more folks help out this project. We've done so many changes with deployment that we're going to note on. But basically, I had kids, I had a family, and I couldn't work for free. I think that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of people in open source. I'm so glad that more people were able to come in and help out. And turns out that answering a ton of support tickets and responding to pages for free is just completely not sustainable. Maybe this is familiar to you and your on-call teams. Aren't you on call right now?
Yeah, please don't take the site down.
Take the
I
site
don't want to
down.
get paged.
But he's paid, that's the difference. Also, lots more folks have helped out over time, and I think that is the true secret sauce here. I do want to do a little sidebar about burnout, because I think this is an important piece of project maintenance over time and evolution. Clearly, maintainers have to do a lot of emotional labor for those that are in issues. I want this feature. I want it to do X. It's 2 in the morning. I don't care. I care. Stop it. Being always on, too, is like very, very tough, especially when there's other things in your life that might be a priority. I think lack of recognition and appreciation is also a thing that open source in general wrestles with. The Ruby community does a great job, but go look at Hacker News and maybe you'll understand why. Financial sustainability is another fun way to burn out. Like, this is especially challenging when you've got a service like this one where it needs to run forever. I've told Sam and a few others that this service is going to outlast me. I'll be long dead, and we will need to make sure RubyGems runs, and that's terrifying. And someone needs to pay for that. So I hope we continue to figure that out in a few decades. And imposter syndrome and perfectionism, making sure that this thing is like the most perfect thing. It never will be, and I think that's always going to be a problem, no matter what project you're on. So how do we not do any of that? Number one is just pay people to work on a project. No, really, just pay them. Like, you can pay people. It's an incredible thought to like make sure that they are involved and there's accountability, and that's, I think, really important. You can set boundaries. Hey, I'm not going to answer that ticket. I'm not going to go to that length to support your user. We don't see that in a README. Usually, it's like, no, just make an issue. You can invite them to speak at conferences 10 years later. Thanks, Ruby Central. Also, don't be a jerk. I think it's really important that like you are nice to the people that want to donate their time and energy to the thing that you wrote. What a concept. A little bit of bragging. I pulled some slides from a talk I gave in 2011. We were doing around 4 million downloads a month and had 30 million total at the time. Only 47 people working on the talk. On the site. Fast forward a few years, we've got 210 billion downloads total. I forget how many a day. It's like
A lot.
Okay, that's a good number. 185,000 gems. I'm so proud of this. Also, Bundler is like an outsized amount of all of them. That's a huge success. I think that we are able to reach so many folks and use this.
Definitely a success that my code has been downloaded so often.
That's fair. All right. We do, however, want to remember.
So we just wanted to take a moment to remember the packages that have contributed to the success of rubygems.org over the years and that are unfortunately no longer with us. We remember Cucumber.
We remember writing specs in English instead of code, but was it really code?
We remember Sass.
We remember writing CSS, but it was cooler, and it didn't have any JavaScript. What a world.
We remember Chef.
We remember a world before Terraform when Ruby ruled the infrastructure landscape before Go.
We remember SCP deploys.
We remember a transfer was interrupted. Your server's down now.
We remember CoffeeScript.
We remember fat arrows and splats and using the unless statement in front-end code.
We remember Mongrel.
Actually, I still remember using Mongrel's parser in Puma and Unicorn.
We remember Unicorn.
We remember forcing everyone to learn about Unix signals.
We remember delayed job.
We remember trying to make HTTP requests work inside of Rails controllers.
We remember Heroku.
We remember when deploys were as simple as git push Heroku master.
We remember the vendor gems submodule.
We remember a time before Docker builds, when deploys were slow, and it was mostly our fault.
Though you
departed from our gem file, you live on in our Git history forever. OK, thank you for remembering with us. We'd love to cover a little bit about security and why it's so important. This is, I think, a good testament to how far things have come in the security world for Ruby gems. Our first big hack was on Hacker News, not the usual topic of conversation on Hacker News, shockingly. But this one I was notified while I was on a bus commuting. So we've come a long, long way from this. From learning about security incidents on everyone's favorite Orange website. However, it's very clear that security isn't easy, especially when your service's main business logic is around evaling code.
So yeah, security, not so easy. Turns out that's kind of great for me as a professional security engineer. Security being hard and ever present is great job security. One of the things that we deal with is just, RubyGems.org is a web app with a bunch of traffic and a bunch of unauthenticated traffic that comes from around the world at all times of day and all times of night. It's got all of the security surface area of every other Rails app, right? Like every rack vulnerability, every time there's a libxml CVE, all that stuff affects RubyGems.org just like it affects your apps. And then there's the fun stuff, the reading and validating of gems, and the YAML gem specs. And we've got tarballs, which have gzipped files of tarballs inside of them. Every single word in that bullet point, by the way, is a way to DOS the site, which is real fun. And at the end of the day, like, RubyGems.org doesn't just exist as its own site. It exists so people can use the gems that it hosts. So we're responsible for keeping the users of RubyGems and Bundler safe, making sure that when you say gem install Rails, it came from the Rails team. So there are a lot of security challenges that we're working on to this day. It didn't stop with Nick being interrupted on a bus. I guess that means our bus factor has increased.
Oh, God. I hope so.
So I spent pretty much all of 2024 building a SigStore client in Ruby. And now you've got trusted attestations on rubygems.org. So I can see, like, hey, this gem came from this repo. Woo, thumbs up. We're working on building a trust model around that. As I said, we want you to know that when you install Rails, it's the Rails gem from the Rails team and not the Riles gem from the Riles team.
That's R-I-A-L-S. Don't install that gem, please.
You will get rickrolled. We maintain a HackerOne bug bounty program. We get a ton of vulnerability reports, some of which are useful, many of which are just, I see this touched a nerve with Evan here, many of which are a complete waste of a lot of time, but it's time that we have to spend investigating them. We work with men to scan every package that's uploaded for exploits. And along the way, we've learned a lot of lessons from doing this. Number one is we're a big target. Like, lots of users, people use rubygems.org to install code that runs on their machines. kind of important to keep it secure. Luckily, there haven't been any left pad style issues. Emphasis on the major and the yet in that slide. But we have had plenty of other security issues regularly, from the interesting ones to the uninteresting, hey, just like time to merge this dependabot PR and ship it and we're done. There are a lot of expectations. It's a very public service. People expect rubygems.org to be up and running constantly. When it was down for a few days back 12 years ago, I don't think the community was super happy about that. We even needed things like terms of use and an acceptable use policy. Those like grown up and professional things. So thanks, Marty, for getting all those added this year. So who here loves talking about deploying applications? Forget developing, deploying's the fun part. Okay, some of you, wow. There are dozens of you. I bet you all like writing YAML too. So I found this commit from October 12th, 2009, was 5 months into Gemcutter existing as a service. And for the first time, a gem file was introduced to the repo. It's hard to imagine, but rubygems.org started off its life without like a dependency manager. There was nothing that made everyone working on it use the same version of Rails or of Rake or of anything. Of note, in this commit, there isn't a lock file yet. So adding in like lock files and making sure that everyone's running the same code was a huge shift in how we deployed applications that happened during the lifetime of rubygems.org. We've also been through another big shift in the industry, and that's, containers. Containers have changed how we do deploys because we now have a single artifact that we can build and ship and run anywhere instead of belovingly maintaining bespoke machines and installing individual packages on them to make sure that they're in the correct state to run our precious little application.
So something that I think is worth highlighting on how it's changed over time is the community that's involved with the site. This has definitely shifted quite a bit. I found this hilarious photo of myself and some others at RailsConf in 2009. Some folks in the Boston Ruby community and New England area rented a house way up in Maine, so north that Tim Hortons was there, not Dunkin' Donuts. I'm sorry that maybe that reference doesn't land in the land of Wawa, but I look like a child. I am a child in this. I'm presenting on an easel, which is insane. I ran Gemcutter at the time on a Mac Mini that I brought to this, and we tried it out, and we were hacking on it a lot during this. I'm pretty sure I slept on top of a jacuzzi. Don't ask more questions about that situation. But it has evolved a long, long way from this particular scenario. Something that also I think has evolved is like how we talk about the project. I found some mad person who had kept archives of the Ruby gems and other associated Ruby channels IRC logs from 2013. I was answering questions about this on the days my kids were born. Yikes. But some things haven't changed. Like I found this. I'm ready to throw my computer out a window. This is the same. I am the same person still. And I was yelling about Bundler.
So, okay, we've come a long way from, just Nick being in Maine, presenting on an easel and a Mac Mini. We've now got over 500 contributors to the repo. You can see this cool little animation of people contributing over time. That's a lot of people, and in fact, I know that we've got more than just the two of us up here on stage who have contributed to rubygems.org. Some of them in particular I would like to shout out and really thank. Some of you are in this room, so give yourselves a quick round of applause. Without contributions from these amazing individuals and so many others, like rubygems.org would not exist in the state that it is today. It would not be like running without any hiccups while I'm standing up here on stage. So, I'm just super grateful for everyone who contributed to this project over the past decade and a half. So, in the past couple of years, we've hopefully made some improvements. And I just wanted to highlight some of the big changes that have happened. Thanks to a bunch of grants we've gotten from grant-making organizations, we focused on making operating rubygems.org easier. Basically, so that when stuff happens and you are on a bus, you can deal with it and not carry lifelong trauma afterwards. Sounds
Fair.
right.
Fair.
Sounds good, right?
Fair.
So, for example, we now have an admin panel where we can yank gems and stuff instead of having people SSH onto production machines. There's a PagerDuty rotation, so if you're on a bus, at least you know you're going to get paged while you're on that bus. We have all the cool modern observability stuff, so when things break, we can figure out how they broke and why they broke, and maybe even fix what broke. We've hopped on that infrastructure as code bandwagon, so if someone goes on vacation, the knowledge of how all the infrastructure is set up doesn't go on vacation as well. Unless GitHub is down, and then I guess this knowledge is on vacation. And as I mentioned, we have policies for things, so when we get emails saying, hey, you have to remove this gem, we don't just make arbitrary decisions about that anymore. There's a document that users have agreed to that we can read and blame the document for the decision. And we're not done. The site's not finished. Here's a preview of some of the things that we're working on from Ruby Central's, current public roadmap. We want to build a gem content browser so you can see what is in a gem before you install it. Novel concept. A diff viewer so you can see what has changed between version 3.0.1 and 3.0.1.1 and 3.0.2. We'd love to host a vulnerability advisory database for gems. I know that CVEs are a super scary thing, and we don't want to make people in the Ruby community deal with them when they're not necessary. And maybe we'll change how yanking works again. It's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Trust me. But what I want to point out is that this current roadmap isn't limited by Rails. Our choice of framework that Nick made 15 years ago is still not getting in the way of the things we want to do. So now you're probably thinking that all sounds great. I want to be involved. Well, none of this would be possible without open source contributors like you. So we're running a bit short on time, so I'm going to rush through this. But there's a bunch of different ways that you can contribute. Code, documentation, design. Also, you can just pay us. Seriously, you can just pay us. It does make things better. We've got hopefully a bunch of ways to make onboarding code contributions easier. We need API documentation. We've needed it for 15 years. If you want to add it, that would be amazing. If not, maybe next year. There's that new design system that we're working on rolling out. So if you want to make things responsive and have dark mode and not be blinded by that one orange color when on the site, please help out. And yeah, the cool thing is rubygems.org is just a Rails app. Like, you all know how to work on a Rails app and contribute to that. So clone the repo and join us tomorrow at Hackspaces and get started contributing to rubygems.org.
All right, so to wrap up, it's very clear most open source projects don't last for 16 years. We're so grateful for the community support to make this happen, and it wouldn't happen without people helping us. Funding is difficult, and I think when a service has to run forever, that makes it even harder. So we do that, we make it easier by focusing on what will change instead of won't. So we know the people will definitely change. We know what won't change is how hard the problem domain in the security space is. So we need to make sure that there's always new folks coming in to help. And of course, for those folks, old and new, you could say thanks, and that will help. That's the big takeaways we've got. We did want to say thank you to some sponsors, especially Ruby Central. Everything infrastructure-wise is not only here, but in the footer as well, because these sponsors do make a huge difference. We really couldn't run the site, especially without quite a few of these. That's what we've got. You can catch us in the hallway track or tomorrow at the Hackspace, and we'd be happy to get you running or answer any questions you have. Thank you.